In this video, we will use another real-time data. This is USGS earthquakes data. If I click on interactive map, I can see all the data points here. If I click on any of those data points, I can see the details on the bottom left. And let us try to go and look at the data. And if I scroll down here, click on say data here, I will be taken to that next page. And let me just click on data and click on links to data and access tools. There are several options for me. I can use web services. I can use real-time data feeds. Let me click on real-time data feeds. And if I click on spreadsheet format on the right, I am in this page. And you can see these are the various fields: time, latitude, longitude, depth, magnitude, etc., place and all. And on the right, you can see this data is updated every minute, past hour, past day, past 7 days, past 30 days. And if I scroll down to the bottom and look at all earthquakes, if I click on it, I get my CSV file downloaded. But in this case, let me right click on it, copy that link and use the web connector in Power BI. Let me go to get data, web connector, paste the URL here. And once I paste it and click OK, in the navigator window, I have this preview. And since I want to do some transformations, I will just go ahead and click on transform data. Once I click on transform data, I'm in Power Query Editor window. And let me just go ahead and rename this table to earthquakes. And it's always a good idea to look at the data, look at the data types. Power BI always will identify different types, but it's a good idea to make sure that the appropriate data types are assigned to each and every field. And you can do all the transformations. You can look at the column profile, column distribution, etc. And you can always add columns. In this case, let us try to add some columns. And based on your needs, you can keep all the columns or some of the columns. In this case, let me select time column and add column. Let me extract the date. On the right, you can see the date is extracted. All the applied steps are on the right side. And similarly, let me also grab name of the month by selecting the time column. And let me also try to maybe use the same column and try to get the name of the day. And since there is a time component in the time stamp field, let me grab the R. And once I have that, I have all those columns ready. For now, I will keep this to minimum. And let me just go to home, close and apply. The data will be loaded into Power BI desktop. And once it is loaded, let us see it's in the data pane on the right. Let us go to table view. These are the various fields here. Let me just select, say, for example, date column and try to change the format to month, day and year. And you can do all those small changes here. And like I said, it's always a good idea to look at the data and make sure that the data is there for you after the Power Query transformations. And if I click on say one ID, I can see that there is only one record per ID. We have to be mindful of that fact. And let us look at the details. For example, if you see the time field at the time when the event occurred, and the latitude and longitude, and the depth in kilometers, and the magnitude for the event, magnitude type, and place, type, etc. There are several fields. Let us try to start using some of these fields here. So now that we have understood the basics, let us try to go and try to look at the table view again. As you can see, you can sort those columns. And you can maybe click on magnitude. I can sort that column again. There is a place column as well. So these are some of the columns which probably I will use to create some calculated columns and measures. And let me just go ahead and remove this part. And let me go to modeling. Let me click on new table. I want the measures to be in a separate table. That way it is much cleaner. Let me name it as measures table here. And using the constructor, table constructor, curly braces, let me add blank here, close the curly braces. And once I do that, my table is ready. And let me add a measure here. I will try to count the number of rows. I will name this measure as total earthquakes equal to count rows. The table, we have only one table there. earthquakes. Once I commit to it and change the formatting to 1000 separators, I have my measure ready. And let me hide the other value column here. Let me drag that here, the total earthquakes. Those values are shown. I can always refresh the data, which I am going to do periodically. In manual, you can refresh the data. Once we publish this report, we can kind of give a data refresh, a sequence of data refreshes per day. And these are the various measures which I've already created: average, max, min. It's pretty simple measures, and standard deviation. And we have already seen the total earthquakes and also variance. So these are the various measures. And once you create measures, to keep it clean, you can keep them in a folder. If you go to model view and select that measure, and in the display folder, you can type it up, whatever name of the folder you want it to be. In this case, let me name it as basic statistics measures. And once I do that, that particular measure is in that folder. Let me drag other measures as well, so that this way my measures table is there separately from measures. And also in that I have folders, and in case needed, I can always add other folders as well. I think I missed one measure. Let me drag that into that folder. So now that all the measures are there for me to start with, I have a measures table and also the folder within which I have all the measures. So once this is done, let me just remove this card visual from here, and let me go to the table view. Let me select the table, and like I said, you can sort every column. There are several columns here, so let us try to see what else can we do. Let me just try to go to measures table, right click, and let me create additional measures. Let me try to create another measure, average events per day. So I can use divide function, and in divide you have a numerator and denominator. For numerator, total earthquakes, and for the denominator, let me use the date diff function. It expects 2 dates and an interval, and let me use the min of the date column I have in my table. Close the parenthesis here, and for the second date too, I will use the max function. Again, I will use the same column, date, and for the interval, I wanted day, right? So I will use the day here. I have several options, but I will use the day. Close the parenthesis, make sure the syntax is correct, and commit to it. I have my measure ready. So this is average events per day. And in case needed, you can format for the 1000 separators as well. And once this measure is ready, to save time, I've already created certain measures. So let me also maybe create another measure and show you. This is another measure, earthquakes last 24 hour equal to. So I want to see what are the earthquakes in the last 24 hours. And again, we have all the things there. We have the magnitude, etc. Right? So we want to consider all the magnitudes, because as we know, we have a range. So let me use the calculate function. Let me count the number of rows of this earthquakes table. I can always use the total earthquakes, but let me just wanted to keep it simple. And this filter condition will be earthquakes date greater than or equal to. If I use now, it will also give me time. So instead, I will use the today function -1. This way, I will get the number of earthquakes in the last 24 hours and commit to it and use the formatting as needed. And like I was saying, I have created other measures as well, so that it will be easy for us to understand and save time. These are the various measures which we have already seen this measure. And similarly, I have created for last 30 days. This is the filter condition, last 7 days and last hour. So we have these measures ready, right? So it's always a good idea to understand the data, and we have to have a plan what we want to. And usually when you work for a company, the requirements will be there based off of the requirements you work. But in this case, since we wanted to use the real-time data, I just wanted to kind of do a little bit differently. So that's the reason why I'm creating all these measures. And let me add another measure, and we will try to compute the max magnitude last 24 hours equal to. And I mean, we are using one column itself for now for the past couple of measures. So let me use calculate and pass the expression max magnitude, which we have already computed. And let me try to use the time column here, because time column is a timestamp. We have that as well. So earthquake time greater than or equal to now -1 would give me the max magnitude last 24 hours. And I think let me add some more measures and show you. That way it will be easy to save time. Like I said, these are the other measures which I have written here. I wrote these measures. So you can see all those measures: 24 hours change versus previous day, average magnitude last 24 hours. We have already seen that measure. So we have a bunch of measures already. So I think so far so good. We are able to understand the data and try to create meaningful measures. So let us try to go back to the table here. We have to make sure that we kind of categorize latitude, make sure that it is latitude data category. So I've changed that here. From the table view also we can do, and from data pane also we can do that. Let me make sure that the summarization is none for both these columns, so that when I drag them onto the canvas, Power BI will know what to do with the values, because these are geographical, right? So if I sort this from high to low, I think I can categorize this depth column, right? There is 600 kilometers to maybe about 1 kilometer, I think less than 1 kilometer. So I think I can try to create another category here so that it will be easy. So in this case, let me use a calculated column. I will name it appropriately as depth category equal to, and we are trying to use the depth column, right? So there is a range there. So what I could do is I can use the switch function and for the expression true, and I will start giving the conditions, value and the result. This is the value. So let me just try to use the depth here. Let me type in depth so that I can pick up that field is less than certain value. So in this case, these are all random values. So let me just add 70. If it is, the depth is less than 70, then let me have the result as shallow and close the parenthesis, close the quote. And the second condition will be if the depth is, say, less than 300, maybe less than or equal to 300, then I will name it differently, and I will name it as intermediary. And in the parenthesis, let me add less than or 70 to 300 range. And next is by default, I want anything else is probably deep. So let me type in deep there. Let me say that it is, if it is more than 300 kilometers, it is deep. This way I have a depth category. So similarly, I can always create a magnitude category, right? So let me commit this code, and I have a new column here. And similarly, like I said, we will always have another column here, calculated column. Let me go ahead and create that column, new column. And in that new column, as I was saying, if I sort this column magnitude, there is a range. So I can use those values and categorize them into different buckets. We can always group them, but I thought I will use a calculated column. This is much neater. So let me go to new column, click on that column. Let me increase the size, and let me name it as magnitude category equal to, same concept like what we have seen in the previous calculated column. I will use the switch function for the expression true and value and result. So this will be a little bit longer because there is a range right here. So I will show you the first line, earthquake magnitude less than 2. Then we will say that it's micro. And let me just make sure that I add that part there in the parentheses. And let me just go ahead and paste the code here so that it will be easy for us to save time. And this is the code, and this is the second condition, this is the third condition, fourth, fifth, and sixth, and otherwise default is great. So 8 plus 1. So this way we have a magnitude category as well. So we have two calculated columns and we have created several measures, right? This is pretty cool. So we are ready to probably create a report page. Let me just go ahead and create a report page. Let me rename this as real time, because we are trying to manually refresh data here, but ultimately our goal is to publish this report after creating several report pages into service and do the data refresh. And this is the final report page. As you can see, there is a slicer on the left where the depth category is coming from the column which is there in the table. Say if you try to present these kind of reports, those visuals will change, right? You can go to view and lock objects. That way the objects will be in place till you present. So this way you're not going to accidentally move the columns or move the visuals there. So this is the depth category which we have just created, calculated column. And there is a text box on the top, and these are the various card visuals. As you can see, total earthquakes change versus previous day, earthquakes last 24 hours, etc. And there is another line and clustered column there, and we have x-axis date, and column y-axis is total earthquakes, and for line y-axis is average magnitude. There is also ArcGIS map. As you can see here, the latitude and longitude in the respective fields, and the size is magnitude, and the color is category of magnitude, and a depth category, sorry. And I've added certain tooltips as well to it. So I have my time, place, magnitude, and depth, so that any one hovers over the data point, as you can see, those are shown. That way people will be able to look at the event on a map. So like I said, periodically we can refresh so that the data will come in every minute, right? So we have those number of total earthquakes there, and there is also another visual there, the column chart, x-axis magnitude category and total earthquakes for the y. And I have changed the columns there. It's a simple conditional formatting, and so that it will be a little bit colorful. So we have taken raw data and kind of did some transformations in Power Query, and created some useful measures and also a couple of calculated columns, and we have created this visual, and the user can use the slicer and kind of slice and dice the data, and so that the visuals will change accordingly. This is the start. Maybe at a future date, if time permits, I will try to add more pages so that we can do some in-depth analysis. For now, this is a good start. If you have just started Power BI, it's always a good idea to work in these kind of projects, real-time projects. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.